What's up guys, I'm doing a review of 1995 hilarious comedic film Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls.
Alright folks, it's Richie Rich. Hope everyone is doing well during this festive holiday season. In this video, it is another review that I did back 2 years ago. I always remember this. This was like one of the final videos I was doing before my trip to Canada, and going to 2020 and all the craziness and bullshit that happened in 2020. So just like the last one I put out with Cool Runnings, I thought, yeah, might as well put this up. So this one is the sequel to the first Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Came out in 1995, so just a year after the first one. And as I said in the mask review, Jim Carrey, especially in the mid to late 90s, he's pretty much unstoppable. He had these films that really showcased all of his physical comedy, and he really became like a pop cultural icon. It's like I said, he still has a legacy of people watch his movies to this day. And it all started from the big break he got from it being in Living Color series. So yeah folks, if you love the video, like, comment, share, and subscribe to the video. And without further ado, let's get this video away.
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. This was a very, as you can see on the back, it says it's much funnier than the first film, but as you are able to pay attention and watch the whole duration of this review, you can see the reasons why I would have to disagree with the times. I don't believe it's funnier than the original film that came out in 1994, but I will talk a bit more about the original opposed to the sequel. During the 90s era, there was plenty comedians around that time. You had Robin Williams, who appeared in, as I reviewed before, Aladdin. He was Mrs. Doubtfire. I mentioned Robin Williams. He was probably the most one you could put in the same category as Jim Carrey. But there's Seinfeld, who was on the TV sitcom. The comedy in the 90s was very there was a thin line between the white comedians and the black comedians. You had Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy, as I've talked before in the past, who appealed obviously to me and other ethnic peoples. Then you had the Robin Williams, the Jim Carreys, and the Seinfelds, who are basically tailored for Caucasians. So Jim Carrey had his kind of success a bit later. Jim Carrey's first time we all saw him and love him was in the Living Color TV series, created and produced by the Wayans brothers family, Damon Wayans. So in that show you can kind of see Jim Carrey had just a knack for more of a physical comedy. The difference between Jim Carrey and Eddie Murphy is definitely more he's more of a physical comedian. It's like watching a cartoon character being brought to life, when you see Jim Carrey, and it helped him tremendously seeing him in Living Color, because Living Color was already a big supreme of the sitcoms, sketch shows I should say of that time, and as I spoke about Living Color, what made the show really great was not only Jim Carrey blossomed, you had Jennifer Lopez there, you had Tommy Davidson, you had Jamie Foxx, you had the whole ensemble of the Wayans brothers, so it just helped the show elevate it more, because you had stars that no one heard of actually break through, and Mr. Carey was one of them. You know, these movie productions, they wanted him to play the lead role. So funny enough, in the year of 1994, you know, he had Ace Ventura. So the first one of this came out. He had Dumb and Dumber, and he also had The Mask. You know, so he had 3, you know, box office, some of them critical acclaimed movies released all at the same time, you know, and this just made him just like, you know, he wasn't even able to continue the Living Color show because Living Color ended around 1994. But you should see like how big a star Jim Carrey was, you know, was going to be. When the first like Ace Ventura came out, I feel like on paper it's one of those films like I don't think it was meant to work. You know, you had like basically he's a pet detective. You know how Ace works is he's basically with the like law enforcement, you know, because I believe the first one it has to be in LA or like, you know, one of those other places in that kind of the coast, you know. So, you know, he basically like kind of tags along, you know, with the cops, you know, not solving like, you know, actually like, you know, real kind of, you know, like crime. It's more like anything dealing with pets, you know, pets being stolen, pets being mistreated. That is what Ace Ventura's role is in this film and the second film, you know. And with the first one, what I loved with is it just showed how, you know, something that can be on paper, it shouldn't work, but once you actually see it on the screen and you have the right actor playing the role, you can hit it out of the park, you know. The Ace Ventura, the first one, is one of the most like, you know, funniest films I ever seen in the 90s, you know, and it's what got me in love with Jim Carrey, you know. Because of that, I wanted to see The Mask, I wanted to see Dumb and Dumber, you know. I wasn't really the biggest fan of Batman Forever, but when I saw him as Edward E. Enigma, the Riddler, I just loved him, you know. I just could relate to like, you know, being that goofy. And because with Jim Carrey, a lot of people see him, he's like he just be so over the top and goofy. But you can see in other his movies, like when he plays in like Liar Liar or, you know, in the Truman Show, he can have range to be a serious actor. Or even Man on the Moon when he plays Andrew Kaufman, you know. Just watch like Jim Carrey's films, that stellar set he has from the 90s. Just see how Jim Carrey can act, you know. When he's being on over the top, it's just him kind of, you know, trying to fool you, you know what I mean? He's doing all this kind of for a reason, you know. But as the times went on, from him in Living Color, if you see him playing Fire Marshal Bill to him playing in the Truman Show, you can just see the progression and the evolution of Jim Carrey. In this film, what different to this first one is, this film takes place in Africa, you know. So what the plot basically happens is, Jim it doesn't like actually follow from the you know, the end of the first film, you know what I mean. It's more like they reference some bits from the first one, but it's more like this is just kind of a new story just involving Ace Ventura, you know. So he is in the start of this film, he's in Asia, you know, Asia where the monks are, you know, and it's like it's just this kind of retreat to find like his mind and soul, you know, all the like, you know, meditation and that. And he's contacted by this like English kind of missionary who, like Ian McNeice, you know, that strong like British man, shaken not stirred, you know. He's contacted to him that he has to go to Africa. I believe it's a fictional country and that, but like he has to go there to basically locate this bat. Cliffhanger film with Sylvester Stallone, you know. So they also like, you know, mocked it a bit, you know, which is cool, you know. But yeah, as like Jim Carrey's in that actually, you know, see moves on and they make their way to Africa, you know, you can kind of see, because what's cool is how Ian plays his character, you know. He's very straight opposed to like, you know, Jim Carrey's like over eccentric version of Ace Ventura, you know. I think he's even put to a double dose in this film, you know what I mean. And I think it just helps kind of with the setting, because Africa is such like a big, you know, landscape of just like, sometimes when you see Ace Ventura, he's almost like a wild animal, you know. There's scenes like he's with the lions, like eating like, you know, carnivorous, you know, crazy like Ace Ventura is. The place that they actually go to is a place called Nibia, you know, which if you check the atlas in Africa you won't see it. But once he actually gets there, so he gets to the village, and basically it's two villages who are going to kind of fight amongst each other if they don't get this kind of white bat, which they call shirikaka. You know, you hear it from most of the season called shirikaka. you know. And yeah, these villagers are gonna, these two kind of tribes, you know, because that's how it is, which I'll talk a bit more about, like how it is in Africa. You know, you always get these kind of two tribes who will be fighting something just so minuscule, but it's just traditions, you know. You can either fight or fly, you know. You don't want to fight with some restless Africans, you know, especially with the spears and that, you know what I mean. But the only problem is Ace Ventura agrees to do it, but he's deadly afraid of bats in the first place, you know what I mean. So the whole kind of thing, you know, with the comedic side, it's also like kind of like overcoming these fears, you know, from the start when you see Ace, you know, to the, you know, final chapters of the film. That was basically meant to be an offer for like to marry the beautiful princess. The princess is played by the actress Sophie Odienko, who's a very beautiful mixed race English born actress, you know. She plays the you know, the princess who's going to marry the prince from the two different tribes in that village in Libya, you know. And like as like Ace is continuing his investigation to find out, but he actually, you know, interacts with the princess, you know. And there's one part in the film, like, you know, Ace is by himself, you know, just trying to like figure out like what's the next move, you know. Where could this like symbol, where could this bat shikaka be, you know. And as like Ace is by himself just thinking, the princess actually comes to him and she basically seduces him, you know. Village girl seduces him, and basically says that because she's pure, he believes the prince will never find her like, you know, like suitable for him, you know. So she's willing to basically give herself to Ace, you know. But Ace actually, you know, voluntarily like says no, he declines, you know. And what's really cool is the next scene is you see Ace in the hut just finding a way to relieve himself, the best way I can put it. As like Ace then takes a stroll in like the safari park in Libya, you know, he ends up getting like trapped in the woods, and like hunters are shooting blow darts at him. Like Ace is being put through these kind of series of tests, you know. He doesn't fight, you know, but he's in a bout with one man like near the ocean, and they're on this kind of paddle, you know. And the way Ace beats him, he like takes his loincloth, you know, and slaps his bum, and he like falls into the ocean. And then the second one is where you must have seen it when you're walking on the ground, and it has like the hot molten rocks, you know. It's kind of like you're walking in a smaller version of like lava with rocks over it, you know. He walks on top of it first. Ace, the opponent that's facing Ace like kind of kicks him down. He walks on top of him and gets to the other side, you know, using his head. So technically he did get him. Then the third and final challenge is he fights like this kind of crazy spear chucking man, you know. And this like is a legit straight up like you know, Wuchachu fight, you know, street fight, you know. And it's surprised the actor actually playing him is Tommy Davidson, you know, which I didn't know was him until repeat views. And Tommy Davidson appeared alongside Jim Carrey in the Living Colour series. So like, because like Ace Ventura, like you know, he couldn't beat Tommy Davidson, but he just put up like a, you know, great fight, you know. And the spears that ends up hitting into his quad after Tommy Davidson like threw the spears and it landed both in his quads, you know. The whole like tribe just found it like, they were just enamored, they just found him hilarious and decided to let him go, and they had the respect for the white devil. As the film like, you know, commences and goes forward, you know, it's like he crosses paths with the poachers, you know. These are Australian safari poachers who are in the area in Libya with Ace, you know, and they don't say it, but they're trying to find the same animal as well, you know. It's kind of like similar like elephants, you know, poachers trying to get them elephants tusked for ivory. Those are the same, they're just trying to get that for like the green, get a reward, you know, take him out of Africa, you know. So, you know, he follows them closely, but he still kind of follows like where he believes the bat is gonna be. It's under that the Australian poachers were working for the, you know, pretty much the main like you know, antagonist of the film, who is played by main antagonist of the film, Vincent Cadby, who's played by Simon Callow, great English actor from the day. You know, he's like the one who has is when Ace comes into that big complex. You know, and he also hosts the party at the main like first quarter of the film. You know, Ace doesn't suspect him until like right at the end. Like, you know, he was in cahoots with the Australian poachers to get the Shirikaka bat. You know, and it's only until like the later stages, you know, but we get to the ending, you know, you find out like Cadby does indeed have the bat, and he is with the you know, the Australian poachers, you know. So they come back to like you know, Ace and the security chief, you know, it was the actor who played, the Nigerian actor who appeared in The Mummy Returns, and he was Killer Croc. You know, I think he also played in The Bourne Identity. You know, great African actor. You know, so as they go into like Cadby's complex, you know, and it's really cool. Like when you go inside, it's like that hunter. You know, you see like a zebra's head, a lion's head, an elephant's head, and parrot. All the animals of the jungle. He has their kind of head version planted on their wall, you know, which is pretty fantastic, you know. So Ace comes in and he basically says, like, you know, when he's his breath, that's why, you know, when he talks really fast, you know, and explains like these whole kind of like analysis of like what happened and why he is the, you know, the mastermind, you know, the mastermind criminal. You know, he says, yeah, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? You know, and once like he's able to do this, you know, that's it, you know. Cadby basically has no choice. He basically wants to eliminate him, you know, and it's basically Ace, Ace, and also the guy I forgot to mention, Ian. It was the, you know, Ian. Also, Ian, I mentioned the British colonists, you know, who were there. You know, it was only them two against all of them, 5. You know, so like, what's really cool is like in this kind of danger, like Ace kind of does this kind of like big kind of shout for help, you know. Yeah, he basically does this big kind of shout, you know, to basically shout like for an elephant. And what's cool is the elephant breaks into Cadby's kind of like mansion, where the elephant like kind of stand, the elephant kind of you know, design was on the wall. You know, the elephant kind of breaks through the wall, and all these animals, you know, all these animals like start coming in to the whole kind of like, you know, that kind of fortress, you know. And once Cadby learns this, you know, he quickly escapes. You know, he runs into like one of his like automobiles, runs away with the Shirikaka bat. You know, Ace actually comes out looking for him, you know, and he's already long gone, you know. So he basically, because when he comes out the paved driveway for the entrance to like the big like complex, you know, there's all cars on the right side and cars on the left side, you know. So Ace sees, you know, just to the right, sees just some big monster truck that someone just happened to park there, you know, which is just kind of like some universal prop, you know. So Ace jumps into the monster truck. He goes to the suite to go chase Cadby, you know, and it's a cool, really fun scene of him in the jungle with a monster truck on like Vincent's tail, you know, and he ends up like, you know, throwing a cigarette lighter to distract Vince Cadby to like, you know, and then he hits into a tree, you know. Ace with the, you know, monster truck, he like dismantles his Cadby's car, you know, and what happens straight after that is the bat is in the cage, the Shirikaka. He's basically put, like, you know, it got once the car crashed with Vincent, you know, it basically got swung into a tree. You know, Ace was gonna go chase Cadby and like take him to the authorities, but he still remembered that he had to get the bat, take it back to the, you know, to the village as it promised, you know. So he leaves Vincent, you know, and Vincent actually Vincent, you know, he's lucky able to escape the authorities, but he probably suffers a fate a bit more worse, you know. He ends up hooking up with a gorilla, jungle style, you know, because Ace for the whole film is deadly afraid of bats. Like, that's the one animal he can't stand, you know. So to grab like Shirikaka, and he's running for like miles to get back to that village, you know, where he is from the beginning, you know, that's where the bat was originally from. Right? He's running with like, you know, and he successfully gets back to the village, and he returns Shirikaka, and that ceremony of the prince and princess is able to continue, and they thus, as you know, it leads on to the ending, they're able to get married. But then goes on to happen is traditionally over there, as soon as they get married, you know, they're able to like kind of consummate their marriage soon after, you know. It turns out that the princess is not a virgin, you know, and it's sometimes like when it didn't show it on scene, you know, from that scene when they meet to like after, you know, like somehow like Ace managed to GTD get the draws, you know, and because of this kind of like, you know, this betrayal, like how could this white man get with this black woman, you know, he runs away, like obviously out of the village, probably to like out of Africa, you know, and you know, we don't know the fate of Ace Ventura, you know, hopefully he gets away, you know, but that's pretty much the whole story of Ace Ventura When Nature Calls soundtrack, you know. So Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, the soundtrack in this film, it's a very it's a sweet combination of music that you'd suspect to be in a tropical kind of climate as Africa, you know. I don't know if it's like a jungle kind of word is, but you do feel that kind of vibrance of like the, you know, the jungle, the color and the freedom that is expressed in Africa, you know. My favorite tune that came out of this soundtrack is one that I've always, you know, especially when I have been to Africa many times, is the Angelique Kidjo If, you know, one of the main soundtracks. If you check the Ace Ventura trailers, it's one of the main tunes that always plays, you know, and it's something that also could have played in the Lion King film of just the whole kind of just you know, this is Africa, you know, the land of the free, you know, where Mother Nature first created, you know, where all was created, you know. So it's a really cool soundtrack to that goes with the film. You also get music from Montreal Jordan, Google Dolls, The Blue Traveler, Sting, and many other recognizable you know, singers, you know, from that time in the mid to late 90s. So Ace Ventura came out in the late 1995. I believe it was just around this time, in the mid 90s, you know, and Jim Carrey was already, if not becoming, was already a bona fide superstar, like the go-to comedian, and he was doing it as a leading man, you know. Some like stars, or you know, like most of us really TV stars, they make that jump into film, but they don't necessarily have, you know, that kind of leading man qualities, you know what I mean. And I feel like Jim Carrey, you know, physically and also you know, how he can also kind of just entertain the masses, he was able to do that, you know. And I feel like when you see him in this, and you see him obviously in the first one, you see him in The Mask, and you know, just the other strong list of the nights, because I do think especially in 1994, you know, with this Dumb and Dumber and The Mask, you know, Jim Carrey was the man, you know. I don't think you could go anywhere without knowing like who Jim Carrey is, you know. They even made animated TV shows of this and The Mask, you know, just based on Jim Carrey's portrayal, you know. All were like, you know, characters that were pencil drawn before, but Jim Carrey offered Jim Carrey's likeness, you know. And it's like you can't think of like Ace Ventura, you know, without the man himself, you know. Like with this film, comparing it to the first one, you know, and it wasn't like the scenes showing this film, because this was only made a year after the first one, so you know, they didn't go to Africa to like, you know, film these scenes, you know, the fake place New York, what was it, the one that starts with N, you know. Most of it was shot in like California, you know, LA, and also Canada, so they just moved around different areas in the west side of the world, you know. So I just feel like in this one, like and it's mentioned from other people, you know, they tried to repeat so much stuff that made the first one like really genuine and cool, you know what I mean. But and I've always said that always happens with sequels, especially once they get rushed too quickly. They will always just try to repeat the same formula that made the first one successful, but make it in a different area, you know, similar to Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2, you know. That happens so many times, you know what I mean. Would I recommend Ace Ventura 2 or Ace Ventura When Nature Calls 2? Anyone who wants to see you know, Jim Carrey, you know, at his, you know, peak, He dominated the 90s. He went on to, because this was like one of the founding points, that was Ace Ventura in this one, which led on to like, The Cable Guy, which is another terrific film, Truman Show, Man on the Moon, Batman Forever. If you're only gonna watch that, just watch that for Jim Carrey, But all of Jim Carrey's successful, like, films from the 90s, this was just another stop at Paradise, but this time Paradise was in Africa. So my review on Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. Stay tuned for more upcoming reviews that will be coming very, very soon. It's peace.